1 year ago today, we began a homicide investigation related to the shooting death of 18-year-old Kane Coronado. On November 1st of last year, Kane was riding his bicycle on Indian Mounds Road at 2:50 p.m. when he was shot and killed by a suspect who has yet to be identified. Our investigators have worked tirelessly on this case, and we are again appealing to the public for any information that might lead us to bring this killer to justice. Our lead investigators, Detective Sergeant Dan Patterson and Detective April Kushel, are here today to remind the public of the information that we do know and to encourage anyone who saw something or knows something to come forward. Jennifer Reynolds, the Executive Director of Silent Observer, is also with us today, and she will share some information on a reward and how to anonymously submit tips. Our detectives will be taking questions, but I want to remind everyone that this case is still open. So there are some specifics that we will not be able to share today in order to protect the investigation. So I will turn it over to Detective Kushel and Sergeant Patterson.
Kane Coronado was shot and killed on Indian Mounds while riding his bicycle to a friend's house on November 1st, 2022. We're looking for any information on a suspect who is described by a witness as a white male, approximately 30 years old, medium build, with a brown or gray scruffy beard. And the witness described the suspect as overall scruffy looking. After the shooting, the suspect fled northeast on Indian Mounds and was driving an older model, possibly year 2000 to 2005 sedan, either silver or gray in color, and is similar to a body style of a 2005 Chevy Cavalier. Please keep in mind that the suspect may have changed his appearance and or gotten rid of the vehicle since the shooting. Indian Mounds is not a highly trafficked roadway. It runs between the Grand River and 196 and is often frequented by runners, cyclists, fishermen, and transients. If you know anyone that frequents the area, matches the description, and may have had access to a vehicle similar to that at that time, please contact myself, Detective Kushel at Wyoming Police Department, or Silent Observer. And please keep in mind, no matter how big or small you think the tip may be, please call in and report it.
Thank you. We'll have Jennifer Reynolds from Silent Observer come up and give details on how to provide a tip.
Morning. In December 2022, the New York Times featured Kane's story in its magazine edition, The Lives They Lived, Children Killed by Gun Violence in 2022. Kane was known amongst his bike riding friends for his ability to pop a wheelie and ride that wheelie forever. When asked how he pulled this off, his friends quoted his advice, which was, "Quit looking at your tire and look where you're going." Where you're going is full of endless possibilities when you're 18 years old. Any of those possibilities were snuffed out when he was shot while doing the most innocent of activities, riding his bike. Someone knows something. You can remain anonymous and send in a tip, large or small, to silentobserver.org or by calling 774-2345. Silent Observer is offering a $5,000 tip to anyone whose tips lead to an arrest. No tip is too small. Thank you.
Are you working with other area departments? This is kind of in a multi-jurisdictional area. There's a lot of different police departments that kind of intersect at Indian Mounds Drive. So is there a chance that tips are coming into other departments as well in the area?
This area is where Wyoming and Granville come together. So we have worked with Granville quite a bit on the case. And anything that they do get, they have been passing over to us. So we have followed up on several tips provided by them.
How do you keep cases like this from going cold?
This helps. Keeping word out definitely helps. His friends, I know, have been quite vocal with this. So they're trying to, his friends and family are trying to keep word out there on this as well.
Can you talk a bit about the progress in the investigation a year later? Because for a while there weren't many developments, and then you had the suspect sketch, and then you had the car. Just tell me about those steps and the difference that that made.
Sure. I know a lot of it seems like maybe it's come out in intervals. A lot of things maybe we had earlier on and were released in intervals, but we followed up on 40 plus tips provided by Silent Observer over the last year. We've collected a lot of evidence on scene that we've been following up on for a year. So it's been an ongoing investigation. We have a lot. We just are at that point where we haven't been able to quite turn any of the tips that we've gotten into a solid lead. So we've been able to rule out quite a bit, though.
Does this appear to be, I don't know if you can say this or if you know, does this appear to be a random shooting, or is it, are you looking for other possibilities?
We're looking at all possibilities, and we don't want to say one way or the other. What we can say is that we followed up on every possible lead to explore that he may have been targeted by somebody he knew, and we found no evidence that he was targeted or that there was any kind of retaliation against him specifically. Yeah.
For people kind of who may not be from this area, who don't know much about Indian Mountains Drive, can you just talk a little bit about what that area is like, as far as recreational people biking through, frequent?
Certainly, it is a unique area which may ultimately lead to this case being broken open. It's a frontage road between 196, so a lot of the public might recognize it driving southwest on 196. When you look off towards the river, you can see Indian Mountains running between the Grand River and the highway. Really, it's frequented by fishermen quite a bit, by cyclists, as in the case of Kane. And then also there are transients down there quite a bit. And that's kind of the demographic of this roadway. There's only one or two ways on and off of Indian Mounds, and it's a lot of regular people down on this road that use this area. So you don't get a lot of through traffic or random visitors down there.
I know it's been a while now, but did it appear that the witness had said that the suspect had taken off toward the interstate?
Correct. Yeah. Our primary witness on the case witnessed the suspect driving northeast there towards Market Avenue and then ultimately towards the interstate.
I'd also ask, he has a huge community around him.
Certainly.
He's very popular in the biking community. They're big group rides. On 1 year, is there anything you kind of say to the people who knew him best about the work you guys are trying to do to solve what happened to him?
Yeah, we know that his community cares very deeply about this, and I just want to assure him that we do too. And we're working as hard as we can.
Any information on a gun or a type of weapon that was used? I know that was probably addressed when this first came out.
Sure.
Was it stolen? Do you know?
We'd prefer not to release any information regarding the scene itself. I will say we recovered a lot of physical evidence on scene, but exactly what we recovered, we're trying to keep that a little closer to chest just to protect the integrity of the investigation.
Another question
Yeah.
I have. Did the New York Times piece kind of result in any spike in tips or anything, or any stories that the media have done, or are you just, you trying to get more opportunities to just see if anyone knows anything, just to bring something in?
We definitely are trying to get more opportunities. As far as the New York Times piece, you might be able to speak better to that.
For us, it didn't spike any. For us, it didn't necessarily spark any more tips, but certainly speaks to the preciousness of a life of someone so young, and the issue of gun violence against young people in such a tragic case like this, because Kane was only 18.
Am I right to remember there's not a lot of violence out there, even though it's so rural and nothing's out there, it's off the beaten path. Not a lot of crime happens out there, am I right? right or am I wrong? You just don't hear about it.
Certainly not violent crime of that nature, no, no.